Hey, how you doing? Let's do a puzzle rush. Phew. 0 takes. Yeah. I try to do at least one or two a night, or three sometimes. Come on, there we go. Ah, okay. So that's that. Okay, let's try that again now. Ah, this is. Oh, drat. Oh, so it's not good. Let's see here. This wins a piece. Okay. Let's see. Check there. Oh, right here. Ah, that's not good. What did I miss? Hold on, I had to do one more. Sometimes I have the hiccups on the plane here. Oh no, it's lagging. Seriously? So that's not it. Is it root takes? No, it's not that. We tried that. Oh, and I see that. That's meat. Try it. Okay, meat. Mate. Alright, so I gotta keep an eye out for meat right there. Check. Ah, that's checkmate. We'll try one more. And then we gotta get started. So king takes wasn't the right. So that's not right. Oh. I was wondering about that. So there. Okay. Ah. Well, it happens to the. As long as you learn from and don't do them in the game. Sometimes I just move too fast. Oh. Okay. Oh. That was not good. Let's see here. This is mate. Don't get distracted with material. I didn't get it finished? Ah, that's okay. That's oh, drat, I forgot I should have, the pawn. That's okay, I gotta remember to remove the guard of the pin piece on that one. So that's not good. Ah, there. Okay, this one was an interesting one. Because if you were to take here, then the king could stop it right there. So you have to push here, and then you push, and you actually win, because there's no way for the knight to stop it, and there's no way for the king to stop it in time. Alright. Let's do the studies. Yep, in the box, that's for sure. So which one do you want to do first? Do you want to do the Magnus endgame, or do you want to do French defense? Which one of these? What do you want to start off with? Magnus? Okay. Yeah, somebody wants me to play Simo, but we're in the middle of studying. I can't do that. I would love to do that, but you know, I just can't. We're in the middle of our studies. I appreciate the offer that the person would do that to send to me. It's not that I'm turning it down because I don't want to. It's just when it's time to, as I like to say, sit down and study, you have to do that. Because I like playing, but you know, there's time for playing, time for studies. Let's make sure. Let me see here. So Magnus is black. I'm trying to get to be even stronger. It's just one of those things, you know. And as long as it honors the Lord, that's what matters. Let's see, I got that right there. Yep, perfect. So it's black to move here. Magnus is black. So let's put this into our studies of the Magnus endgame. There we go. Okay. Maybe, I think he might have faced, has he faced this person yet? I'm not sure. Let me see. I don't think so. Yeah, this is when Magnus was 26 46 and his opponent was 26 55. This is the person he's facing right here. It's 26 55, which is a monster of a player. But remember, anyone could be beat because of the human error factor. So don't ever think that a player can't be beat. You just have to play the best moves and let the, as I like to say, let the cards fall where they may, because if your opponent's ready for it, then there's really nothing you could do about it, and it'll end a draw. But if your opponent's not ready for it, then you can win. Let's see. How to Reassess Your Chess is a good book. Book, right? Yeah, yeah. That's this right here. Right here. This is what I work on too. How to Reassess Your Chess. It's the Jeremy Silman. It's his 4th edition, his most recent one. I'm still working in that one. It's a monster of information, but it'll help you in all areas of your study. What is it about? Well, Jeremy Silman says that it's about mastering the imbalances. It's about the whole. If you want to think about it, the Reassess Your Chess. The definition, what he's saying is it's completely rewritten, of course, but it's about the imbalances. Like Magnus is going to be going into this endgame with an imbalance. If his opponent were to take, I'm not sure if he is because I haven't studied this endgame before of Magnus. That the imbalance would be Magnus would have a bishop, and his opponent would have a knight, and so the imbalance would be bishop versus knight. And then another imbalance is Magnus has 1 pawn on the queen side, and his opponent has 2 pawns on the queen side. So his opponent has a majority queen side pawn structure. Magnus's imbalance on the king side would be a majority pawn structure against the kings. And so then you'd have to look at an imbalance in the position would be Magnus's rook is also stronger than Magnus's opponent's rook on b1. So it's all based on looking at the board. An imbalance, how Jeremy Silman describes it, is the board talking to you. The position will tell you what to trade off if you listen, or if you're aware and if you did your due diligence of research in chess. It'll tell you where, what you need to trade off, what you need to do, and you may be able to, even if you're an exchange down, draw the game because you know what the position calls for. You can save a game by knowing what the position needs to be, or what needs to be on the board and what doesn't. And that's kind of what we're going right here. That's why it says Carlsen exchanges his knight for the strong bishop. See, White's strongest piece also, if you want to think about it, this bishop is an imbalance. This bishop is better than White's bishop's better than Magnus's bishop. The dark square bishops, this one's better. This one here. And so if Magnus can get it traded off for the knight, which he really has to, because he doesn't want to allow the knight to either outpost here or outpost there, and then potentially get a cementing structure. You don't want an outposted knight like that with a monster. Ew, not a monster knight like that. So he actually exchanges here, and then rook here. Now you can say, what's the imbalance? What's the change in the imbalance of the position? Jeremy Silman would ask his students this, and of course we know now that the rook for black has actually become stronger because now it's on the second. Yeah, exactly. And there's no infiltration of. You're exactly right. There's no infiltration for rook to a1. So Magnus actually controls the only, in theory at the moment, eligible open file. And then so h4 was played by his opponent because he's trying to make space for the king, just in case he has to run. And this also stops. See, Magnus's idea, if the knight were to play, let's just say some silly move like this, Magnus would be okay with actually playing h4 here, and this would just ruin White's structure. Even though he's sacrificed a pawn, he'll be able to get it back with after it takes. This didn't happen, but I just wanted to show you that this could actually arise, and now the pawn structure is wrecked on the king side, and so there's vulnerability all over the place. So that's why Magnus' opponent, who's actually 2655, played h4 here to stop his pawn chain from being basically annihilated, obliterated. I mean, he could try though. There is one imbalance. Like, White could try to play for the imbalance on the queen side, get their imbalance going, which would be to play b4, rook c2. Now he takes scope on a weakness of c4, and then h4 is played here. King, oops, I'm sorry. I think did I, hold on, wait a second. Did I do that right? Let me see, here. Hold on, I think I put the wrong, it's not h4, 1 second. c5, sorry, c5. Yeah, that would work too. That would work. B takes C, B takes C, rook takes C. And after h4, or knight d6, or knight d6. Wait, knight d6 here. I think White can hold despite the pawn being down a pawn. Yeah, also, you're right. The idea is he can't go here either. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. King h7, getting the king involved. King f1, which is actually, it doesn't go along with White's plan. White should not worry about I guess the king and try to get his imbalance going here of b4. Let me see if that's what they're trying to. Yeah, that's right. This will prove to be a loss of tempo. This move here, loss of tempo. White can try to liquidate the b pawn to restrict White's structure on the king side by playing b4. Bishop e7 to go after the pawn, and knight a7. This holds the b pawn and also prepares to try to hit in one of these two spots. The c8 are which would potentially it wouldn't win a pawn, but it would hold the position tight, very tight. It wouldn't allow it to become just sand and quicksand in the position, all the pieces to just sink. And that does happen. Some players that you'll face, if you get them in a corner, they'll actually sometimes not fare too well. So bishop f6, knight c6, and rook c2. Oops, mouse slip. There we go. c5. Actually, let me see. So g6. Wow. g2. I'm shocked he didn't take that. Oh, I see. Let me see here. King f5. King f3. c3, king g2, king e4, a7, b takes c, b takes c, rotate c, and b to c8. And white should be able to hold with all the weaknesses that happens. The king actually plays king g6 exclam here. Improving the king's position is very useful as it takes away the e4 square from the knight. So king g2, king e1, e5. Why is that? What? Oh, sorry. c2, rook c2. Keeps an eye on the c pawn and doesn't allow b5, b4 to be played. So it stops that. So bishop e7. This prevents that, and the knight coming in. Knight c3. King f5. Knight a4. Rook e1 could be played to cut the king off, and then e5. Knight e3, rook e3. f6. f1. c5. Check. And king e6. And white is too passive here. Okay, you are black. I want to see if you can find the move that Magnus played. Black the move. To move. Exclam. Black the move exclam. Let's see if you can find the move that Magnus played. You are black. Find the move that Magnus played. Be right back. I'll give you a second to think about it. You're black. Black to move, an exclam move. Okay. What piece is out of play right now? What piece is out of play? Because his structure is fine right now. Magnus's structure is great. Pawn structure. He doesn't want to weaken anything. You have to always ask yourself, when this knight move here, moved away here, can you take advantage of that? Yeah, what piece is out of play? It's not in active play, as I would like to say. It's what type of piece? Black has two pieces. Which one of these is not at their most effective positioning right now? The bishop. Which one? The rook or the bishop? Okay. So where would the bishop be adequately placed, or put to its best spot? We already know that this pawn's gonna fall here. So yeah, that too. But think this pawn's gonna fall, right? What is this knight lined up with? The bishop, the pawn on f2. So if you played bishop f6 exclam, yes, you're giving up the pawn, but in return, if the knight were to take, you could play bishop to d and be forking these 2 points here. And so when the knight comes back, the rook can actually come in and take. And then that could wreak a lot of havoc for white. Knight takes b8, and that's what was actually played. Knight takes b6. Bishop d4, which was played. Knight c8. Van Wells uses his knight confidently the entire game. Magnus played g4 exclam here, king g4. This is a really interesting. Oh, so your idea of e5, knight takes. But see, then he has b4. He has your opponent. The opponent has. I guess I see what you're saying. Yeah, b4 would be losing. Let's see here. So maybe knight d5 there. And that would be interesting. I'll just pushing, and then that pawn still fall. Okay, I missed on that one. So if e5 then b4, and you're able to get your pawns rolling. You can also, if rook c2 here takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes, and white can hold here. I think white can hold. That's why, and now he's threatening mate. I think it would end up a draw for both sides. Rook f1 and bishop to c5. This locks the knight in. So the knight's entombed, and the knight is one move away from being taken. The only way to free the knight is b4, is to give back the pawn. This is the only way to free the knight up, is to give the pawn back. So bishop takes, knight takes b6, bishop c5, knight a4, bishop d4, c5, and then rook c2 to take scope and attack there, double time. c6, a5. Manage does not bother taking the pawn after c takes. This is actually the best move. Rook takes, c6. Rook e1, king f5, and rook e2, a6, rook a2, and black will win as the king will march to b5. When the king will actually march over to b5. So he'll lose a piece. c7, e4, and rook takes c7 is actually a simpler way of going. That's what the author says. Rook d5. This is actually an exclam move. Rook takes, f2 check, king h1, knight h3. It's a interesting move, exclam. It's a fabulous move which allows the promotion with check. On the other hand, it doesn't see, it's actually a brilliant, interesting move. So we'll just call it a brilliant move, because there is no brilliant, interesting move. It would actually be a brilliant move with maybe two exclams and a question mark at the end. Promote with check. On the other hand, it appears a lot. It applies a lot of pressure. On the other hand, its problem gives away the win. With this actually is a mistake. Surprisingly, this was a blunder. Actually, losing move. Rook g1, king h check, f5, and king c7, queen c7, and white wins because of the because of that. Yeah. I'll just make this an interesting move because here, just let me do that because I think let's do that there. If rook c2 exclam rotate d4, king takes g3, rook d1 because you're threatening mate, rotate c, rook g1, king h3. You could try taking here, and I think it might be a draw at this point. Knight b6. Rook takes here, and e3 wins for black. Knight c5, or rook c5. Rotates g2, a3, rook g1, a2, rook e1, and then f5. And by the way, he can't take. Of course, you see that if he takes, it's checkmate. So he can't take, and so f5, and this he's just going to steamroll white all the way down the board and just crunch. Yeah. So see, he even gets to promote with check, then f5, and king g1. This is an exclam. This is actually surprisingly an exclam move right here. The only move. Then Magnus plays rook c2 check, rook takes, rook d7, king takes g3. In some lines, black could actually play g6 here. Rook d6, and then e3. King f1, rotates g2, g3, e2, f4, takes check, king takes h. Uh-oh. Reconnecting. Just gotta give it a second. Alright, perfect. Now we're back. So there we go. I think white can could actually hold here, knight c5. Rotate c5. King takes f4, and it's a draw. This actually takes. So he takes check. King f3. Knight b6. King c1 check, and then of course king h2 is forced. f4, f6, and it's similar in the game. After d5, which is actually a mistake here. There's rook c5, knight b4, and e3, d3, rook d5 to attack the knight. Knight takes f4, king takes, and black wins as well. Because how do you stop this and stop risking these two, that pawn there? You just can't do it. Knight d. Actually, the interesting thing is knight d7 is a double exclam move here. c2 check, h3, rook c3, a5 check, a4, hold on. F2, oh, I gotcha. F3. White probably can hold, that's what he's saying. If you didn't want to check though, and you just wanted to play e3, you could do that too. a5, a4, rook e6, is a exclam move. It's hard to judge if white has enough to hold or not. Like f3 could be played here. Knight c4. f5, d5. That's actually losing because that's losing, so f5. takes here. King f4, a3, rook takes c, and then king h3, and it's a draw. This is the only move to draw here. Rook rotates g7, check, king f3, and then bishop. Knight b6 is an exclam move here. This is a very difficult move to find for white. The knight is temptingly moved further away, temporarily moved further away from the position. So 1 second, let me check something out. So rook c1. You could try rook c5 here. Knight d7, b5. Knight e7, rook e7, f4, check, g5, g3, check, takes, and then rook e7. It's hard to tell, but I think draw is most likely the outcome. With no rook, on the board, white would only draw with king g2. If there's no rooks on the board, these rooks come off, and then you have the knight, you can actually draw. So king h2, e3. f4 is playable to stop checks. Knight d7, e3, e5, e5, e4, and then we've looked at this already. So this move here, the knight move, gets a exclam setup. d5, f4. The other black moves are also not decisive. So like if e2, then rook g3, oops, not g4, rook g3, e4, e3 check. White can hold after this. If rook c2, h3, e2 check, same type of thing. Takes, rook e8. Is a draw, as the Lumbert's table presents that d4, king g3, d3, and king f, and that's a draw. So this move right here is a draw. The endgame is scary. Yeah, it's fun though. You gotta love it though. f7 exclam here. The Dutch Grandmaster finds a way to get his pieces involved. Perhaps Magnus missed that he intended to take on e3, and that's basically the game set match. So c2 check, h3, rook c4, knight takes e3, exclam. Eliminate the e-pawn, resulting in a drawn endgame. Rook a7. Yeah, exactly. You got it. Kappa was right too, because there's all sorts of patterns were in that game. Pins, absolute pins, forks, detours, all different types of decoys. Sorry, all different types of combinations you have to use in your endgame pocket, endgame bag of tricks, as I like to say it. They're not tricks, but they are. You got to have a deep toolbox of tools to use. See, I always think of if you're building something and you have a nail and you want to hammer it in, what do you need? A hammer, right? If you want to tighten something that you need a screwdriver, you need to tighten a screw in, you get a screwdriver. If you need to like maybe staple something in, you get a nail gun, and let's say you don't want a hammer, but you have a nail gun that that you push and then boom, it goes in. That's faster than a hammer because you can hit with a hammer. That's without compression or anything. But if a compression thing will make the nailing a lot more faster. And that's what knowing your patterns do, is it's like having a nail gun that allows you to put the nails in probably 5 to 6 times, maybe 7 times faster, and you can get something nailed and put up in no time flat and built. But you can still use a hammer, but guess what? Why use a hammer when you can use technology to do something? And the nail gun will actually put the nail in even deeper, which means that it's in there and it's not gonna move. So, it's all building, a lot of building. My grandpa built stuff, so I was always building with him. So that's kind of where I get a lot of tool terms from that. So let's see here. So takes and a7. That's perfect. Rook a7, rook c3. Trying to get this, but it's still going to be a draw. It's going to be a hard fought one, but it's going to happen. King e4, check. h2, king f3, king h3, rook b2. Hold on, what am I missing here? Oh, rook e3, sorry. Rook e3. Trying to trade off rooks. If the rooks can come off, then they win. So knight b2, rook e1, b3, king f2, b2, king f1, b5. trying to get in behind the pawn now. The idea is to get in behind the pawn. The only move, but it is sufficient for the draw. White has to attack the H. He's also attacking this here as well. A4 check. I mean E3 check. H2 or H2 and A2 check. 3 F3 takes. This it takes. It's a sclam. A sclam move. Plays another only move. He will sacrifice his rook, but his H pawn and king will obtain the draw. F2. F5. King E1. Rook G2. A2. King G3. Queens. Rook takes. King takes. King rook G4. F2. H5. Rook E. Let me see. Make sure I have this. As it takes. G6, G2, F6, H2, G6, A4, H6, E5, A7, E6, G7, A7, H8 check, check, H6, H2 check, King G7, rook takes, and then King takes, and it's a draw. Magnus correctly chose the bishop over the knight. He used his pieces, including his king, brilliantly to attack Van Wels's king in the endgame. He played too flashy, and the Dutch Grandmaster restricted every extremely well. So this fantastic endgame ended in a draw. This was a rare occasion when Magnus let the win slip away. That's what the author says. Very rare occasion that Magnus will let the win actually slip. So it happens, but it should teach us one thing. Don't play flashy. If a simple move is best, do that. Simple is best sometimes. Alrighty, let's get our French defense. The Tarrasch, or Tarrasch. There we go. There's the 5, Tarrasch 5. Perfect. This is El Porchis versus Emmanuel Tal. So we're going to turn the board. E4, E6, D4, D5, knight D2, knight F6, E5, knight. This is the closed variation. F4. This is actually what Grandmaster Simon Williams, our surname Ginger GM, said that this is what, when he was younger, this is actually the move that he feared the most, which was F4, because how it cements the center. That's what he feared the most in the Tarrasch variation. With this move, White makes his intent clear. He intends to make a giant center and hold it at all costs. And so what we have to do is go C5. It's the standard French. There's two breaks. C5 and F6 are the two breaks in the standard French. So C3, knight C6, and knight D, F3. This this unusual move allows the white main line D5 to give adequate protection. So this move gives adequate protection to not D5, D4 with the queen, so that you can't hold. This is, I believe Simon Williams talked about this. I think this is the universal system of the French defense, if I'm not mistaken. It holds the giant center together. And the looming developmental lag, Black's goal is to create early conformity when White isn't ready to go for it yet. So he's trying to get the conformity of his pieces and castle, and then potentially try to take scope on it. This is the more natural move is knight GF3 when queen B6, B3, A5 exclam at this point, because the center's locked down tight. So you're going for more counterplay on the side. When the center's locked, you play on the wings. A4, C takes D, C takes D, and B4 check. King F2, because if you block here, you actually will. I guess you can't take, can you? I guess you could potentially. I think this is the idea here. Here, here, here. If there. Maybe that's not it. There was an idea that was based on this here. I'm trying to think what it was, because there's something that on why D2 doesn't work. Maybe it's F6. That could be what it is. Thinking maybe F6 might be the idea. Oh, so takes, and if queen takes, okay, discovery, shoot, drat. Yeah, the king has to take, gotcha. Okay, for some reason that's a puzzle rush move. So he can't play there, he's got to play king F2. And then F6 here, E3, bishop E3 to hold the pawns, castles. With a good position, Black, who is seriously ahead in development and threatens. This is actually from a game Simon Williams went over. I think I think the game might be here. It's a classic game. It is this one here, Emmanuel. No, it's not Emmanuel Bird. Let me see. Oh, drat, it's not here. There was a really cool one where black actually won. It's an old time one. It's on Simon Williams' Killer French. This actually has come up, something similar to this. Because what you're gonna eventually do is try to sacrifice to basically nuke the center, or open up the center. Just totally demo the center, and you're going to get your rook and all your pieces involved and go for a material knockout. So here, oops, queen b6, g3, white's light squared bishop will be developed to h3, where it hinders the f6 idea of pushing here. So c takes d, c takes d, and then f6 anyways. You can play bishop b4, f2, and then g5 here is an interesting move. F takes g5, and knight takes e5. Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, king g2. Knight c6, and knight f3, and white continues to lag in development while black may later take scope along the f file. This is kind of a standard. If white lags behind in development, this is kind of what happens to white. They get kind of pummeled into submission. I don't like that, but I like that term. But that's kind of what happens. Their position starts just getting demoed. It's kind of like a siege after a castle has been sieged. Even maybe if the side doesn't win, the castle still is in ruins. It's kind of like that. It kind of just ruins all of white's position. It's just horrible. Lots of pain, and a lot of pain basically. Okay, so h6, I mean not h6, h3. Worrying black about the e6 pawn. King f, no, f takes e5. Not worried actually. F takes e5, and then bishop b4 check. King f1. And now if king f2, this actually is a mistake. This walks into a tremendous amount of pressure. D takes e5. Come pow, and then if knight takes e5, knight takes d5, and your opponent can't take because of he just can't take. Because of the pin. So he plays king f1 to avoid the pin. Knight f8 to hold the pawn, and basically to prepare a castle queenside. I would avoid continuing with castle. Castle is more natural. So after here, he's saying that castles, bishop takes e check, which is actually a dubious move here. Is really only helps black. I know it's weird. It's like, wait, don't you lose material? Yeah, king g2. You could take here, but the problem is this is under fire, and you can actually play queen b5, and if the queen intercepts, you grab the bishop. So it's kind of a puzzle rush idea. In theory, this is protected because of this pawn is protected because of this move here on b5 check. So g2, excuse me, g2 is played. D takes e5, exclam. Bishop takes c, h. Knight takes f. Knight takes f. A takes rook f1, and e7, bishop e7. Now bishop f6 is coming with knight. The d4 pawn is under supreme pressure at that point. And yeah, you don't want that type of pressure. e2, g6, king g2, castles, and then bishop g4 exclam, because what he's planning on doing is getting the pawn rolling to h5 if they could drop your bishop back and then get these monsters a rolling up the board. They go. Strong position will move, shoring up the f3 spot. Bishop d7, h4, a5, exclam. The idea is to move the queen and get the bishop back involved via there. Rook b1, b5, h5, g7, and then h6 to undermine it, creating a puncture in black's king side Dara squares. g6 and then g5, pawn bishop g5, knight f5 there. Bishop takes f5 exclam at this point. It's kind of weird. You're thinking, why would white give up their best bishop? Well, the center is closed in theory, and because the center is closed, the only really good piece is the knights. So by trading off the bishop, that can no longer protect d4 because it's on a dark square, this is actually really good for white. Rook takes. He doesn't take with the pawn because he doesn't want to create a passer. G4 exclam at this point. Rook takes F or G5, which is an interesting move because what's happening here is the knight's going to take back, yes, but the idea now is that the minor pieces are going to play key roles because there's not going to be a lot of in a ship. There's like portholes, these little bitty these holes that you can look through, and if a ship is kind of smaller, the ship's gonna do one thing. It's going to try to outmaneuver the bigger ships and then attack and try to, basically takes little bitty puck shots at the bigger ships and try to sink them by putting a lot of holes in the hull, and then basically they sink. And that's if you're smaller, you want to be fast. If you're bigger, you got to be careful if you're facing an opponent who's fast. You just got to make sure, because you never know what the minor pieces can do in the right hands of many opponents. They can be devastating, the minor pieces. Like Anon loves knights, so he doesn't even mind going down into a knight versus a rook because he just loves knights. The exchange of F3 is thematic in this line, but black also needs something else for the white d pawn, which Tal didn't get in this stance. He says, philosophers claim that the virtue of this position can be harmonious when it creates the isolated of the minor pieces. Black's pieces are more unified, even though they are kind of cramped. They're more together, they're more in harmony, as white's pieces are all muddled up, if you notice. And so white's king is really exposed. There's no real in routes to black's king. So black's king's the one with all the play. Black's king's the one with all the safe moves. Yeah, so it's an interesting line here. Let me see. Wait a second. Uh-oh. Yikes, sorry. I have the wrong takes. It's this here. Yikes, sorry, I took the wrong piece. This is the interesting idea. He left that bishop alone and went after this knight. I knew I had a problem. Sorry about that. The idea is to get rid of the knights and leave d4 weak. So we had the right idea, just a little bit. I did the wrong move sequences. King takes f3. b6. Bishop b6. Another route that you can go down is knight takes. Hold on, let me see. Hold on, let me make. What in the world? What am I overlooking here? No, everything was adequately played. Knight takes c5. Okay, knight takes c5, which is a interesting move. D takes, and then d4. King g5, or g3, not g5. Rook f8. G5, exclaim at this point. Somewhere I went awry. Hold on, let me go back to move. I don't think it was. So move 17. Ah, it wasn't G5, it was B1. A5, H5, that's right there, H6, there, G5, and we go, so takes, where it takes, there, takes, so bishop takes is an exclam, G4 takes is an exclam, F, interesting. And then I'm going to promote this to the main line after I get this put in right. F3. Alright, promote this to main line. You could play rook f7, b4, and then bishop d8 would be playable here. a4, queen c4, and bishop takes d8, knight takes d8, and black gets can feel the territory tug from white. So b6 was played here. There's also knight takes e5, which is an interesting combination here. Takes d4 and king g3, rook f8 to try to cut the king off, f4, bishop f4, and then g5 exclam idea here. Oops, I gotta put the exclam mark there. There we go. Rook h5. And that's an exclam move too, because you're sacrificing. Takes check. That takes. Although black doesn't have enough compensation for the exchanges, so let's continue down the path. So G3, Rook F8, like what we talked about, just going down the same road. C7, it's interesting because it's a pin. And then bishop f4. White has caused unsettling, and black has caused watch a scary move. Okay, White's position is unsettling. That's what he was talking about. Black in this position needs to be carefully monitored. That's what he's basically telling us, is you have to be really, really careful. Bishop e8. HF1. Rook F2. Knight B4. And then B to F8. Rook B F8 or F1. Knight D3 to go after the bishop. Knight F3. Queen takes. B2. Queen takes D3. Exclam. Bishop B5. Combination alert, combination alert, combination alert. So this is a combination that white to move, exclam. So what do you think the move for white is here? Combination alert. Try one more time. Look deep. Look deep into the position. Look really deep in the position. Look for a tactic. Look for a tactic. Go beyond the move at hand. Look deep for this move. This is a tough one. Think of all the moves that we've been doing in Daddy Pogar's book, or Father Pogar's book, and try to pull up a pattern that looks very familiar for you. Yes, you may have a couple seconds. Do you kind of see what the idea is? Do you kind of get a feel for how in harmony White's position is? Remember, White's attack. Look, where's all of Black's pieces? They're on the queen side, right? All the Black's pieces are on the queen side. So it's right for an attack, and you just have to time it right. Let's see how much time. Okay. Bishop c1. Almost. It's actually bishop g5 exclam. Because what you're threatening is you're not worried if the bishop gets taken. I mean the queen gets if the queen gets taken, it's bishop takes its mate. So so bishop here. If rook takes, then rook takes, and now you're still threatening the mating idea, and you'd have to protect here. But then guess, oh, it's a pin. You lose the queen, so the queen can't come back and protect. So it's basically you'd have to play bishop here, pawn takes, and then you wouldn't want to trade down queens, so you'd probably have to play bishop there back to attack the queen. Something similar to this. Rook f5. Suddenly it disappears. Queen c3 exclam at this point. Oops. Queen c3. Oh, I got to turn the board. That was weird. Sorry about that. Somehow that got clicked off. That's odd. Okay. c3, which is an exclam move here. Let me tell. We'll go back in just a second. Bishop takes d4. Queen c8 check. King f7. And then queen c7 check, and black is mated, and a few moves, basically a few moves. Okay, let's go back to 32 and see, did we do that one right? Let's see, there. Oh, queen takes e2, and then f8's mate. Okay, so what you're saying is back here, bishop c, bishop c1. Let's see, rook takes, check, queen takes, gotta wait because it's restarting, and then we'll do 6 puzzles, and then I gotta log. There it is. Okay. Yeah, they were. I think they're doing maintenance on LHS.org or at least chess. Oh, well, we finished. We finished it, so I don't know if we're going to be able to do any puzzles tonight. So we may have to call it tonight for tonight because I don't know when they're going to be coming back on. Let me give me a second. I'm gonna see if I can't pull up and see if it's still under maintenance, and if it is, then I'm gonna have to call it because I don't know when it's gonna come back online. Yeah, the picture is kind of a silly one for sure. Let's give it another shot here. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Well, I guess I'm gonna probably have to call it. Do you have any well, let me see. Almost. It's thinking about it. Okay. No, it's just pinging back and forth. Do you have any questions before I log off? Besides, I think bishop c1 may hold. Oh, it's shaking hands right now. I think bishop c1 may hold. I didn't get to really check it. Yeah, it's having a sitch. Yeah, it's not wanting to do it, so we'll have to call it on that. Sorry about the short. We didn't get to do any puzzles tonight, but we did get to go over a really good Magnus endgame, and we did get to finish the French defense, the first steps. Just let me take a peek to make sure that it's not back. Nope. Yeah, it's not gonna let. It's not gonna. They're under probably heavy maintenance right now. So thank you for your patience with that. I know we usually do either endgame first or opening first, then endgame, then we end with puzzles. The two maintenance things. So I'm kind of glad if they do need to do some maintenance, that next time when we get on, it'll be right as rain. So you always gotta think positive, and the Lord has everything under control in that area. Excuse me, that was a hiccup. But you have to always remember that in the end, it's always for our betterment. That what the Lord Jesus does in our in everything. We're thinking to ourselves, wait, we didn't get to finish the puzzles, but hey, you know what? We got to really talk though about end games. We got to talk about imbalances. So it's like we got to do a puzzles because we got to talk the whole ideas. See, the reason we do puzzles is to learn the patterns and get the concepts down. We talked about the concepts and we got the concepts understood, so it was like we did puzzles. So you know what? We'll get the puzzles again tomorrow. We'll do the puzzles. So don't fret. Don't worry. We will get our puzzles, and we'll just have to make up for it. We were gonna do 6. We'll have to because we try. You usually do 6 a night. Sometimes when I get close to our time, the time that I could stream running out, so we'll just do 6 more. We'll just do 12. We'll make up for it, and that's just how life is. Sometimes when you have lemons, you look at the lemons and like, wait a second, what are lemons? Make lemonade. You know what I mean? Yeah, a little pinch of sugar to it. Yummy. It's a wonderful drink that you can could sip on and be refreshed with. But at the time, you're looking at this fruit, and you're like, what do I do with it? But you know what? It's lemon. It's a lemon. You can make lemonade, put a little bit of sugar, good as, and some ice. Yummy. But remember what Bruce Lee said, that plateaus happen in a chess player, plateaus happen in school, plateaus happen in a person's life. And what you have to do is endure through it. And there was somebody I listened to a long time ago who told me, he was a minister, of course, and he said that you go through valley parts in your life. You go through parts when you're walking like in a valley, and you're like, is this valley ever going to end? Then you get to a mountaintop. You get to climb the mountain. You get to a mountain. You're like, really? I got to climb a mountain now? But when you get to that peak, you get to, for a second, be able to rest. And they call it the mountaintop experiences. But you will again have to go into that valley. It's the valley of trials, tribulations, and learning, as I like to say. It's the valley of learning. And there's things there, like stuff you don't want to deal with. You might get scratches from a brush and stuff. But in the end, you learn and you improve. And you do heal, but sometimes a person's got to put aside their ego and their wants and their desires to get to that stage where they want. If it's school, they have to spend time in their textbooks. If it's chess, they have to spend time in their textbooks. And if they have a job and it's their business, or they work for a business, they have to spend time improving there too. So it's all about how much time you want to spend improving in your setup to get past that plateau. Remember, also, Bruce Lee said that he didn't fear the person who practiced 10,000 individual kicks. So if you study 10,000 individual things, but you know that you're good at at a couple things, then those couple things you'll be able to do it because you're a natural talent. But think if you took your natural talent and then you applied a lot of time, effort, and learning to it, man, how much further down the road you'd be. Rather than just doing 10,000 different things, doing one or a couple things, till you master them. Or it'd be like taking and opening the French defense, mastering the French defense, and then from the French defense you can branch off into the Dutch. It branches off into different openings, and you can learn all the subtle nuances, the side lines, the main lines, and have fun along the way because you're like, I know the French defense. Cool, there's a sideline I can learn. Sweet. And then you learn that. But you have to take what you know and be able to apply it. And remember, the greatest thing that a chess player can do is teach somebody else and share the love of the Lord and the love of chess. So it could be somebody who's like maybe your brother or sister or a friend or a family member. You never know who you can teach chess to that could really help them. It may even change their lives. You never know. Chess is a game I know that the Lord created to help our thinking process. We have to always keep in remembrance that chess doesn't make you. It's how much time you want to put into chess that will determine how far you want to go down. Alekhine was an example of that because they talked about Alekhine wasn't a natural player, but he was a hard worker. So he outworked all of his opponents. He just spent time with the information and learned it, and was just so strong and so solid of a chess player that it didn't matter what his opponents threw at him. He knew how to handle it. That can go for your schooling, that can go for your job, and that can go for chess. It just doesn't have to be for chess. It can be for everything in your life to become a solid person in the Lord. And remember to treasure your victories, learn from your losses, and remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you. That's what we just talked about. And remember, Yazir Sarawan, Grandmaster Yazir Sarawan says that every long journey begins with one small step. And don't forget to put on your Grandmaster glasses when you sit down and study puzzles and openings and all of chess. And don't forget to put on your Grandmaster learning for school as well, and the areas that you're interested in. Always remember to put the Grandmaster glasses on for those areas too. But when it all comes down to a couple things that we always talk about, the Chess Cruncher motto: you hang up your coats, you hang up your hats, you sit down and study when most won't. Chess crunchers do, and that makes all the difference, my friends. Alekhine did it, and he became a world champion. I'm not saying that's your pursuit of world champion. I'm saying though Alekhine did it, and he became so strong of a chess player, and you can do that in any area of your life to get stronger. And as long as you bring the Lord Jesus and the Holy Spirit with you always, you can't lose. You can always be learning and improving. And I'll leave you with that. As Wesley So says to the Lord Jesus, as I say, God bless. And I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening. And Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. You know what? Remember, what did Hannibal Smith say? He said that a good plan is a forcing move plan. That you know where your opponent's going because you set up those forcing moves, and you know the outcome is either a draw or a win. And even if you do lose, take it back and learn from it. And in all those scenarios, we love it when a plan comes together. Hoorah! 2 thumbs up. Be blessed, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.